Hey everyone, I hope you realize New Creation is still working to spread the gospel and uplift the community. Here are some of our announcements to keep you connected. It's that time of the season for our Christmas cantata. Now, as you know, our sanctuary is under construction, so this year we will be doing things a little different. Enjoy this year's Christmas cantata at home in your favorite Christmas PJs. That's right, gather the family and grab your hot chocolate, eggnog, and popcorn and enjoy this year's presentation. Be ready December 20th at 7 p.m. streaming online. Let's get in the Christmas spirit. We are getting closer to our watch night and 35th anniversary celebration. Please prepare to drive through the main campus on December 27th for our donation drive and to pick up your goodie bag filled with gifts and communion cups. Also enjoy guest saxophonist Billy Ray Shepherd. Remember, December 27th between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. Join us online December 23rd at 7 p.m. for our Blue Christmas celebration. This is a time to recognize those we have lost this year and to support those who may be coping with grief during this holiday season. Our virtual Sunday school classes have been outstanding, and we wanted to grow and continue to bless people. Call in with these codes or email sundayschool@nccf-sa.org for Zoom link information. And to become a part of our NCCF Northwest classes, please email nw.sundayschool@nccf-sa.org. If you know of a congregant in need, please contact the presbyter on call on the after hours number. Someone will be ready to serve. Virtual counseling is available Tuesdays through Fridays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. with one of our certified counselors. Please email requests to pastoralcare@nccf-sa.org.
At New Creation, we have a vision and a mission. Our vision is transforming lives through Jesus Christ. Now, let's go ahead and declare our mission together. We will engage all people to become new creations in Christ through inspired word and worship, inviting evangelism, innovative discipleship, and invested lifestyles of salvation, holiness, stewardship, and service. And God will grant the increase.
My peoples, it is so good to see you. On today, we bring you greetings from the main campus, the Northwest, and the New Braunfels location. Out of all the streams you could have clicked on, you clicked on ours. So we're so honored that you would share your time with us today. We need you to do a few things though. If you enjoy what you are seeing and what you are experiencing, please like this page. Also, what you can do is leave a comment, leave a prayer request. Let us know how we can help you and better serve you. And on today, the last thing that I want you to do is relax. Have a good time, take your shoes off, and enjoy our service. What we do is for you. So have a great day on purpose. God bless you.
Family, wherever you are, stand on your feet. Begin to clap your name. Clap your hands. Declare the name of Jesus wherever you are. We are lifting our hands, clapping our hands, singing our song, doing our dance all for Jesus.
We lift our hands in the sanctuary. We lift our hands to give you the glory. We lift our hands to give you the praise. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise you for the rest of our days. We lift our hands in the sanctuary. We lift our hands to give you the glory. We lift our hands to give you the praise. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise you for the rest of our days.
That's right. Get up on your feet. Come on. Begin to celebrate God this morning. One more time. Hey. Next, we're going to clap our hands in the sanctuary. Here we go. We clap our hands in the sanctuary. We clap our hands to give you the glory. We clap our hands to give you the praise. And we will praise you for the rest of
give you the praise, and we will praise you for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise you for the rest of our days. We do our dance in the sanctuary. We do our dance to give you the glory. We do our dance, yeah, to give you the praise. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. Say yes. We will praise you for the rest of our days. Oh, we sing our song in the sanctuary. We sing our song to give you the glory. We sing our song to give you the praise, and we will praise you for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise you for the rest of our days. We sing our song. We sing our song in the sanctuary. We sing our song to give you the glory. We sing our song to give you the praise, and we will praise you for the rest of our days. Praise, Emmanuel, we lift up your name, Heavenly Father, coming Messiah, and we will praise you for the rest of our days. Say that one more time. We will praise you for the rest of our days. Oh, Jesus, we give you the praise, Emmanuel, we lift up your name, Heavenly Father, coming Messiah, and we will praise you for the rest of our days. We'll say, yes, we will praise you for the rest of our days. So we'll say, yes, yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. Yes, yes, Lord, for the rest of our days, and we'll say, yes. Say yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. But our hearts will say, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. And we'll say, yes, yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. And we'll say, with our lives, from our heart, we'll say, yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. Hallelujah, 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 for the rest of our days. Hallelujah, 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 for the rest of our days. And we'll say yes. Say yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. We'll say yes. With all that we have, God, we will say, yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. Oh, hallelujah, 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 for the rest of our days. Hallelujah, 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 for the rest of our days. Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. God, we lift up a high praise in this place this morning, and we say hallelujah, hallelujah. God, we worship you, we adore you, there is none like you, God. Say hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. We lift up a high praise, there is none like you. Hallelujah, you are worthy, you are deserving. Yes, and we'll say yes. Yes, Lord, for the rest of our days. Oh, and we will praise you. We will praise you for the rest of our days. Yes, God, we thank you this morning. You are worthy. You are deserving. There is none like you in all the earth. We declare that you are Jehovah. You are Yahweh. You are everything that we could ever want, ever desire, and ever need. So Holy Spirit, we welcome you into this place today. We say, have your way. We move ourselves out of the way so that you can heal, deliver, set free, however you choose to do. God, today will be a day of refreshing. Today will be a day of renewing, and we will do all that we can to give you glory, to give you honor, and to give you praise in this place. Yes, Lord, for the rest of our...
Hey everybody, it's Quincy Beatty. Wanted to say thank you for joining us for this evening's presentation of COVID Conversations. We are taking a journey through some of the youth of yesteryear and asking them where they are now. I myself have been at New Creation since the early 90s, and tonight you're going to see a lot of familiar faces who were here around the same time that you may have been wondering where they've gone to. We're going to talk to a group that have become educators, some creators, and some business pros, and they're going to let you know about what their memories of New Creation are, how their time at New Creation has influenced where they've gone in life, and where they see themselves going now. Really, really hope that you enjoy it. Have a good evening.
Little trivia game, very Family Feud style. And then this is the next portion, the Where Are They Now? And the next one that's coming up.
Is someone wearing a Steve Harvey suit, though?
If Randy Phoenix doesn't have a mustache on, I'm going to be very upset.
I do think that's an important part of this.
An oversized suit with shoulder pads and a mustache, a thick one. When you're in your 20s, you think you popping, you like, I'm lit, you know. But when you have a home and you got your credit kind of under control and stuff like that, that's lit.
Okay.
That's lit.
Okay.
Let me quit yelling. It's so good to see you.
I'm so glad that you were able to do this.
Yeah. Absolutely, brother. Let me get out of some of the noisier websites that I'm on.
Hey.
Oh man, I missed Mina coming on. I wanted to be there for that first glimpse. Hello, friend.
It'd be like that. It's good to see y'all.
I'm super happy.
Oh my
I'm giddy as a
goodness.
kid in a candy store.
I've been following Drea for a long time, so I'd be on Facebook cheering her on.
Oh, the flattery. I love it.
You know, we will probably let's bring this back up later, Amina. But do you remember when we both promised to each other that we would be writers, that we would grow up and be writers, and that we were going to put that in our future? We were like, we're going to grow up.
A fact. It's a fact. We did.
We kept our promise. We kept our
Neither
promise.
of us had no idea it would turn out like this, but here we is.
And it's still, there's so much more to be written about who we are becoming. We're literally in the space of, like, we are established, but we're also becoming. And so that's that, this 30s transitioning into 40s space that I'm in, it's interesting because
So with no further ado, if you could, please reintroduce yourselves to the New Creation congregation and tell us kind of where you are in life. Like I said, we've tagged you as creators, but that doesn't have to be your place in life right now. And then we'll circle back on the conversation. Rock, paper, scissors.
I'll go.
All right.
I'll get it out of the way. Greetings, New Creation family. I am Andrea Sanderson. I was about to throw a vocab in there because that's my stage name, Andrea Vocab Sanderson. I am San Antonio Poet Laureate 2020 through 2023. I am the first African American Poet Laureate, but the fifth Poet Laureate of the city of San Antonio. I joined New Creation somewhere around 93, 94, 94. And I continued into the 2000s as at New Creation. Some of the things that I did when I was at New Creation briefly, I was on a drama team, I was on the Urshabird, I was on the praise team, I was youth choir president, I was on the adult praise team, I was in young leaders, what did Elder Campbell call us? I don't know. I just know that we had to always memorize the Psalms and recite them. Young Disciples. Was it Young Disciples?
That's it. That's
Okay. So you name an auxiliary. The only thing I didn't do was probably like missionary work, but I did every other auxiliary at New Creation. And when I am interviewed, I always say I cut my teeth. I learned, and I just finished an interview a few minutes ago, and I always source New Creation as my first training grounds to equip me and become who I am. And some of the most influential people in my life I met through the ministry. And I consider a lot of the work that I do ministry, even though it is a creative space, but it is very necessary. I think people always call upon griots and poets throughout the ages and singer-songwriters to speak to what is happening in society. And I consider myself privileged and honored that I can do that. So that's my very long intro.
Wonderful.
I want every word of that intro. You hear me? I want all the words. This is very special for me because I got to introduce myself first, but I got to say really quick, it's very special to me because Andrea and I met at New Creation as children. And I'm sure we'll talk about that more, but we were writing in our little notebooks in all of those different ministry environments. So to see my sister as the poet laureate of our city brings me a lot of joy. So shout out to you, Drea. My name is Amina Brown, now Owen. I was Amina Brown when I was a member of New Creation. I live in Atlanta now. And I'm like, what do I do for a living? I perform poetry. I'm a spoken word poet. And I'm also a podcast host and speaker as well. I think I must have been going to New Creation around the same time as you, Drea. I think my mom got stationed at Fort Sam Houston in 92. And so I think we started sort of attending around 92, 93. My mom joined the church and she rededicated her life to the Lord. And that really inspired me to become a Christian. So I feel like there's a whole family of us that know Jesus because of New Creation. And I will always have honor for New Creation, not just the building or buildings, but the people there. I will always have honor for that. Like Drea, I was in all the things, all the art things that New Creation had. I was in that. I don't know if this still happens today, but when we were growing up, there was a whole Saturday called CYC, Children and Youth Council. And we would go there. Our parents drop us off at like 8 o'clock, 8:30, and you just stay till like 4 or 5 o'clock. And you did all your things. You went to choir rehearsal, you went to step team rehearsal and dance rehearsal. I think I did do missionettes, Drea. I did do missionettes for a little while. And then I was like, please let me out of this so I can go to dance practice. So basically all my early arts stage stuff was in our church. My early raps, my first rap performances were also in our church. So that's a little bit of my, what I'm doing now and a little bit of my New Creation history too.
Wow. So both of you have talked about the concept of cutting your artistic teeth in New Creation. For folks who are, unfamiliar with what that journey looks like, can you talk about your growth as creators, just kind of in general? Like, what are there milestones that you're looking at, or how do you know that you're, first of all, even on that path and, growing through it and then getting to a point where you can say like, all right, now I am developing into the creator with this particular medium, right? And, right, all the way from kind of its infancy to where you find yourself now. I mean, you had mentioned that you were already starting to write in your own little notebooks. Was that just kind of the catalyst right there, or had it started prior?
I mean, I think I will say, and Drea, you'll have to tell me if you would say the same, but I think I will say growing up in a church, and especially having been at New Creation starting in my middle school years, like I was there from 12 until I graduated high school. And what a pivotal time to have been in a church that was very arts centric. So I think even before I got the courage up to do anything on stage myself, I was seeing other young people singing and dancing and, just knowing that we had the freedom to do that. And that wasn't true for all my friends. There were some of my friends that they went to church that wasn't a space where they could sing or rap or dance or even, perform poetry. Like their church wasn't a space for that. And I do think there was a lot of freedom that we were given that I didn't realize until I had moved on and moved to Atlanta and moved to Atlanta to then see what the poetry scene and what the performances were like in Atlanta, and realizing I had the opportunity to learn some of that as a teenager. So a lot of what I'm doing now for a living, I was doing that at 13 years old. I was learning how to speak in front of a crowd and speak confidently. And I do have to also give a really big shout out to our pastor, Dr. Claudette Copeland. I think seeing her and seeing women preach and speak so confidently, I remember sitting there and feeling like my little heart was going to jump out of my chest, because all I could articulate to myself at the time was like, they're doing something that I think I'm supposed to be doing. And for a long time, I thought that was preaching. Maybe it still is. Maybe we still are preaching, Drea. I don't know. Maybe that is it. But that turned out to be a very different path for me. The preaching didn't show up in the traditional sense, showed up as poetry for me. But I think that exposure of watching a Black woman stand on stage and speak the truth confidently, that is all in my everything from having seen that as a 12-year-old. I mean, Drea, what would you say?
First, I need to correct myself, because I think I joined New Creation like 89, 88.
I thought the same. You were there before me.
So I apologize. Yeah, I was my numbers. I'm not a number person. I'm a word person. But to get it right, I think I was like 3rd, 4th grade. So I'm 39. So I'm gonna be honest about my age. I don't got no reason to lie. So, but yeah, I started writing. The first poem I remember writing was at age 6. And doing, literary magazines when they would come around every year for school. I also started singing at age 6 or 7. And I have an aunt that's a minister. And so when she would preach sermons and stuff, and when I would go to her church in Houston, I would get up and sing in the choir there. And then I joined the children's choir at New Creation when we became members in New Creation. And I just stayed in choir. I did choir in high school. At school, I was like varsity, junior varsity. I did that like all through. But it was like every auxiliary that I could be a part of. And I knew I took the arts very serious. And I was saying earlier, I remember a conversation that Amina and I had, that we were like, number one, we're about to be as good as, if not better than, all these boys that are up here rapping at New Creation, because it was a thing. They would come by to monitor and look at us on Saturdays. They would come by and they'd be like, hey, let me hear your freshest stuff. Let me hear what you write. Let me see what you're doing. And it was a thing. Like, we were trying to measure up to that level, now knowing that I don't have to do that because I am a woman, But also just being, Amina and I had a conversation that we said we were going to take art serious, and that we were going to thrive and continue writing for the rest of our life. And that was a conversation and a promise that we made to each other. And I had to bring that back up to her coming into this conversation. But also just knowing, like, I continued after high school. I started doing open mics. I started my own music career and recording albums. Even when I was in a rap group with Brandon Graham and Tawfiq Kotmanel, and there was like, we were like a Christian Wu-Tang. There was like 14 of us. So the Marbury sisters, all of us, we were all in this big group together, and we would do performances. And there was a big debate in the late 90s, mid 90s about, is Christian rap of God? Is it valid? Should we be doing this in church? We had to break through all of those barriers and say, this is the only way you're going to reach our generation, is if you package the word of God in something that's palatable for us, right? And also, Amina spoke to so much of it, seeing women in leadership, seeing women in ministry. And we were blessed that we had one of the top women Christian leaders in the nation as our pastor that we could look to, and she was constantly being flown all over the place to speak. And we knew, but we didn't know, until we got older, like just the impact and power of a woman, Claudette Anderson Copeland, like the doctor. There's like, this woman is phenomenal. And to say that we grew up under this ministry and other amazing women that got their masters and their doctors, and how important education was so important in New Creation, and they focused on it. They provided scholarships, and it was a thing. You know, you just kind of went away to go to school, or you stayed here and you went to school. A lot of people did. So just making these decisions that we were going to focus on, because a lot for women, I can speak for women to say, women, they get focused on starting a family, starting a career and a family, and really focused on that, and saying, I'm going to keep art and make a decisive decision to say, I'm going to definitively say, art is going to be my career, and I'm going to focus on it. And even I'm not going to be distracted, even if I am in a relationship or whatever, I'm still going to keep this as something that I do, and it's not just a hobby. So it's been powerful, and I've learned to put it in education and take art into everything that I do. So yeah.
So I've heard both of you reference the concept of taking art seriously. You know, can you talk maybe a bit about, you know, maybe some of the struggles that you had come into where you thought perhaps this wasn't the path? Did you ever find yourself faltering in dedicating yourself to saying, this is going to be a thing that I produce because it is so much, you know, a part of me, part of my lifestyle, just whatever makes, you know, me the person that I am?
Man, I mean, poetry and hip hop, I feel like was such a big thing for what both Andrea and I became. And at the time that we were doing that in high school, there really weren't a lot of people I could look to and be like, oh, they're making a living doing that. Like, I remember by the time I moved to Atlanta, there were maybe 2 poets nationally that I knew were making a living. And that was Saul Williams and Jessica Care Moore. That was in the early, late 90s, early 2000s. Those were the only 2 poets I know. Everybody else was going to open mics and having a good time, but they weren't, it wasn't their career necessarily, right? So I think some of it was learning what was possible, that it was possible to be able to make a career trajectory of your art, but that also meant some discipline as well. It meant discipline in writing, not just waiting until you were inspired. It meant being in a community of other artists. I think Drea brought up a great point there. It meant us being around each other as high school students. One of the things I loved about going to New Creation as a teenager is I basically had friends at every school in San Antonio, right? Like, I had friends I went to school with, I had friends at other high schools, so I got to know what they were doing over there when they were performing for their school and doing this or that. So by the time, I was getting into college and getting into Atlanta's poetry scene, I had already been exposed to what artistic community looked like. But I will say, for me, I was still in my probably mid-20s before I was like, is this my job? Like, is this what I'm doing, like, for a living? Like, I don't know. So I didn't really do this as my job full time until I got into my 30s. I spent most of my 20s just like doing different jobs, performing, doing things on stage. And really, I have to say, it was God opening up doors for me to be exposed to these larger crowds of people that I never could have opened for myself. And I think God used those opportunities to say to me, number one, you trying to design your life the way you've seen other people's lives designed is not what I'm asking of you. That I have a path very specific for you. And I'm very much like a planner brain. So when I got out of college, I was like, I'm going to go to grad school, then I'm going to go to seminary, then I'm going to have poetry books. Like, I had a plan. I'm still like this. And God is always interrupting my plans with something way better than I could have planned myself. So I dreamed I would be a writer. I think I got out of college and was like, do you eat chicken after you become, like, do you pay your, like, I don't understand how it works. So now I would say, for me, being a full-time artist is also being a businesswoman. It's reading contracts and understanding how the business of the art works. And I think that became my biggest lesson in taking myself seriously as an artist and as a businesswoman.
I'd like to dive in on 2 quick points that you made that I thought were very salient as well. One, you were talking about the honing of your craft, right? Exercising your artistic gift, even when you're not necessarily feeling the inspiration. So it was in a fly-by-night type of scenario. And then, you revisited a little bit about, the seriousness that you have to use in taking yourself and, as can you as a Black woman, right? That there are still you know, call them obstacles or dynamics that are affected by, you know, your race and your gender. So when you talk about exercising your craft, right, what space do you get into to really still dig in, even like you said, when you're not feeling the inspiration? Because that's true for a lot of other places, like, hey, I gotta go to work and I don't feel like it, right? But when you're saying I gotta go create this thing and I don't feel like it, it just feels like a very different space. Like, just don't create it. But I guess you don't get that option, right?
Well, and it's a choice, right? Like I'm definitely interested to hear Drea speak to this, but I feel like, first of all, when Drea and I were growing up together, there was no poetry scene in San Antonio, right? Like when I came back home, like basically, you know, Drea had helped build what is now the poetry scene in San Antonio. So we didn't have open mics and things like that we could go to at that time. For me, going to Atlanta was that experience to come back to the city I grew up in and watch my friend that I like grew up in church with building this poetry scene where poets younger than us have a space to come to now where they can sharpen what they're doing. Like, it's beautiful to me. I mean, the open mic to me was my biggest place of like, wow, you thought you were amazing. You're not that great. You're not that great. And so you're going to have to really go home and write better. You thought that was really great, but because everybody at church clap doesn't mean that's a good poem. So try to go get better, you know? Like, I mean, Drea, what would you say? Like, was the open mic process a part of the discipline that you would say you built as an artist? Like, tell me what that process was like for you.
It was interesting because hip hop took off for me first. Mm-hmm. So from 99 to 2004, I was LSC Ministries, and we were being offered contracts, and we got an artist development deal with, you know, Cross Movement, and it was like major stuff. And I wish Tawfiq was here at this moment so he could kind of talk to some of that. So kind of switching my mindset to poetry, it was a lot different from the hip hop world and the music industry stuff that I was dealing with in the gospel scene. And kind of, you know, I would say I got into slam poetry is what really took me to a different place, because that afforded me the opportunity to be able to travel around the country in the competition aspect of it, and knowing that so much was on the line. I've always maintained a regular job. I still work at Juvenile Detention Center. I've been there 18 years. So close to 20, close to being able to get out of there if I want. And thinking about like, if I decide to just do a 20 and quit, like, what is that going to mean for me? Have I gotten to a place of sustainability with my art, you know, career enough to where if I wanted to quit and just do that, what would that look like? Which is scary to me, because as you said, as we started becoming open mic poets, that's when people would come to our city to feature, that's when we would see people making a living, and you get a small opportunity to try to pick people's brain about what that looks like. And so people were kind of inventing that wheel in the time frame that we were coming of age in poetry. And it is a scary space, and you do have to be a go-getter. You do have to do the contract looking, and you have to learn how to be an advocate for yourself. And that's not something that is easy to do, to advocate for ourselves, especially as Black women, to say, hey, this line item on this doesn't work for me. People asking you, what's your price? And you're like, I'm in a space where I can name the price that I want. Like, oh shoot, what do I say? And getting on the phone and calling my homies like, hey, what do you think I should tell them? 300 or 1,000 or 400, you know, like, what should I say? When, you know, cause you don't want to lowball yourself, but you don't want to be tripping and then lose your contract. Like, it's scary space to be in. And learning that you somebody, and it's like, oh shoot, I can call these shots, or when people were just like, take this budget and create what you want. Like, it was so many things that have happened that I'm like, I am learning as I go. And because there was nobody to mentor, when you do this work, there's no one really to mentor you in this space. Like, you lucky, you know, but I think our generation, there was no mentorship. Now I could turn around and mentor a young person and tell them, this is what you need to do if you're going into to create for your space and you know, do whatever. But there was not, at that time, no, we were just out there making it work. And so it's been a journey, but I'm so proud of Amina and the journalism work she's done, and the I went on her page, I went on her Instagram. I was like, dang, girl, go. I can't believe it. Like, oh my God, when you came home for the Campbells, their dinner, like some of that stuff you were doing, I had no idea. You know, it's like, you know, I try to keep up, but it's hard if it doesn't come across your news feed or your timeline. You have to go searching out to find out what's happening. So Facebook, if you're listening through my phone, like put Amina Brown in my timeline, in my Instagram, put her more in my timeline. God, you know.
So to that, Amina, Randy had mentioned that one of your platforms is a podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is right.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Zoom is telling me that we have 10 minutes left because I don't have the pro version, but I am curious to hear about what that has developed for you.
Yeah, I started the podcast 3 years ago, and mainly because I felt like women of color needed to be celebrated more. And so I started the podcast out as an interview show where I interviewed women of color. I interviewed Black women, Indigenous women, Latinx women, Asian women on a theme. And just this year, I got a podcast deal to relaunch that podcast under the Seneca Women Podcast Network on iHeartRadio. So I'm still interviewing women of color because that's what my life is. I'm very passionate about that. So it is, if I'm interviewing people on my podcast, they're women of color, and that's how it is. And then I tell stories on there and talk about poetry on there. So the podcast has been a wonderful platform to have. So it's basically like I'm doing what I would do on stage, but I'm just in a room on a microphone talking to people.
So both of you have referenced what in my head feels like the next evolution with regard to your growth as artists. It's one thing, hey, can I do the thing that I think I want to do, whether it's writing, rap, poetry, so on and so forth. But then getting to the space where you realize I am that thing, and now I am embodying that thing in a way that now makes, it seems like that ends up being the benchmark. Like regardless of what the medium will be from here, I do recognize myself as a creative, as a woman, as a person of color, right? And Andrea, you were talking about understanding your value and making sure that it is communicated to your audiences. In the minutes that we've got left, can you talk about that portion, realizing, I guess, basically where you are in all the different dimensions, but having it being based on, I am a creator, I am a woman, and I am a woman of color?
God, first of all, ask God for a blueprint on how to conduct your career. If Holy Spirit is your best friend, that's all you need. Because if you can hear the Holy Spirit tell you, he will lead you and guide you in all truth. Holy Spirit began to speak to me about my image and my presentation. So I was like, I've got to get good pictures. I've got to go get a great professional photo shoot. When I put those pictures out, I noticed that things changed for me. You have to have your bio together. You need to have your resume of all the shows that you've done. You need to have your business cards. If you can get the website, and start working on publishing. There is a website called submittable.com. All the publishing opportunities that you could possibly think of are on that website. If you're a writer, you need a Submittable account. And you need to go on there on a regular basis and look for places. Some of them you got to pay for, but there's a lot of free publishing opportunities, and you just need to start getting published. And think about the poems that you're submitting for publication. If you need to hold on to those for your own book, or if you want to submit those, and think about, are they saying if you submit it here, you can't submit it other places, and you can't have a double publication. I was blessed that there's a poet, very affluential, very famous, Naomi Shihab Nye, offered me my first publication through the Texas Observer. And from there, it just took off. You need to have somebody, you need to be on the radar of somebody that is somebody, and get on their radar and work those angles and see where it can take you. And also, what has also helped me, God spoke to me very clearly, this is the last point, sow seeds, open doors for other people. There's someone that you can open a door for, that you can sow into monetarily or with prayer or something. And make sure that you are sowing those seeds to make sure that other people are coming up, and God will open the door. What you do make happen for other people, God will make happen for you. That's something that New Creation always told us.
Absolutely. One of the things that I'm pulling from that, it sounds like you say, if I want others to take me seriously, I have to take me seriously first. And then it ends up, you get that energy back. Amina, you agree?
Everything Drea said. And I would say really hone in on what you feel God is calling you to do. You know, I feel like the calling of God on my life was something I was beginning to understand even at 12 or 13 years old, watching those women preach. I was hearing from God even at 12 years old. They doing something you get ready to do, even if you're going to do it differently. And I think the calling of God in different seasons of life, how that plays itself out can look differently. Even in Drea's story, it's like it looked like hip hop in one season of life. It looks like poetry in this season of life. It looks like podcasting for me right now. So I think honing in on what do you feel called to do and being who you are. It's not about you finding somebody else's, like, you know, to use the word Drea used, somebody else's blueprint to be like, oh, boom, I can take the thing they did and just do that. Like, find what it is you're doing, be yourself, use your voice. Tell your stories. People ask us as poets and writers all the time, well, how do I find inspiration? How do I find the stories? I'm like, the stories are all around. They're in your grandmother. They're in your breakups. You know, they're in like the job you worked at one time and you didn't like it. Like, the stories are everywhere. So don't be looking so far away from yourself. You may find that you will find so much of that inside of your own family, inside of your own story. So be who you are. That's who God gave you to be. Be yourself. That's it.
And until next time, see y'all later.
Love y'all. Love y'all, New Creation. Thank you.
Love you. Thank you for everything you've done.
All right. See y'all later.
Bye.
So this is the group that we are calling our business pros. In our group of folks that were putting together the video footage, we said, yeah, we would like to talk to some folks who have made their way into, you know, the commercial realm and have taken the path that is, you know, a very business-related path. Not to say that that's where you are, right? But that's just kind of the themes that we've got for each one of the groups. So that is kind of, you know, the context for it.
Okay, so hello, New Creation family. It's Christina Alva, aka Christina Marbury, the middle of the Marbury daughters, coming to live from outside of Baltimore, Maryland. Let's see, where am I now? This is where I'm located on the East Coast, where it's really cold and there's snow, and I am working full-time 9 to 5 as a lead data analytic developer for a research and data analytic company. I went on to do this after I got my master's in applied industrial mathematics. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm a career coach. I help people get jobs, and I'm an author. I write young adult fantasy novels, and I also write career novels to help people get to their next level in their career. So how has New Creation helped me get to where I am today? Wow. So New Creation really helped build that foundation for me. With faith. I now belong to Spirit of Faith with Apostle Mike Freeman and Dr. Dee Freeman. And just having that strong rooted connection to faith and, you know, Bible study, Minister Curtis telling us all the time, how are you doing? No, how are you really doing? You know, someone asking you, looking over your shoulder and just really feeding and mentoring into your life when you're young plays a big part, because coming out here on the East Coast with all of this that's going on as a young woman moving out here by myself, plenty of opportunity to get in lots of trouble, but being rooted in a foundation, having a foundation that's solid when you're a young girl and before coming out into the world has really helped. I can't tell you how many children's choir songs play in my head sometimes to help get me out of bad situations and things like that, how the Holy Ghost is able to call up things inside of you that were rooted there. So I appreciate being at church every Wednesday, every Thursday night for choirism, every Saturday for COSC, every Sunday for the 3 services singing in the mass choir, because it really fed into me and played a part when I was older and moved out and went through my life. So yes, I do have a son, AJ Alva. Some of you guys have seen AJ. He's in California going to school. He just turned 20. So, wow, it makes me feel really old. But yes, I appreciate everything you have done pastors, and I love my New Creation family. That's where I got my start, so thank you very much.
Awesome. I would love to dig in a little bit more on how your professional trajectory might have been influenced by any of the elements that were there, but we'll pause on that for a second so that we can move over to Candice.
Hello, New Creation family. My name is Candice Mulberry, and I'm saying hello from Los Altos, California, also known as Silicon Valley. The journey out here has been quite varied. I left San Antonio, ended up going to school in Houston at Rice University, where I got my Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering. Then I started working for GE and working on my master's in parallel with Georgia Tech. After graduating, I just really wanted to explore the United States a bit more in different industries. So I worked in oil and gas, I worked in global research, I worked in healthcare, and ultimately ended up settling in the Bay Area now. So my journey has taken me to several states, including, upstate New York, Washington, Utah, Indiana, Texas, of course, and California. My later career has focused on consumer electronics. So I worked for Apple for a few years and then Google on various accessories. And now I work for a company called Waymo. It's a sister company to Google under the Alphabet umbrella. There, I'm a senior mechanical engineer working on LiDAR technology. It's one of the sensors that's on the vehicle that allows it to drive by itself. I definitely appreciate the foundations laid by New Creation. I definitely want to highlight that. I've been very fortunate because I was able to go to the Early Learning Academy, and that jump-started my education. I participated in oratorical contests at New Creation. I was able to direct the children's choir. I remember standing on my dad's guitar case so that I was tall enough and could be seen while directing the choir. I participated in missions outreach programs where we were, giving out food or just going to go sing with the senior citizens. Each of these areas, contributed to the person I am today, helped to give me poise, leadership, and global exposure. And from those learnings, I've been able to kind of spearhead and go out and do more, right? So I've been to Mexico and Africa many times, and I've led different outreach programs there. I have exercised leadership at work and in the community. I recently won a technology contest for graffiti removal. But I don't want to just give, the shout out to these earthly games or competitions or programs. I am so blessed to have started my spiritual life at New Creation. I didn't realize how blessed I was until leaving the nest, if you will. To have seen actual miracles as a child is, I'm finding that it is a rare occurrence. And being able to reach back into this upbringing where I can recall, seeing someone walk for the first time after being, born and not being able to walk for their lives, and then getting up out of their wheelchairs, will stay with me for my life, and being able to walk for the first time. I was part of seeing that miracle. I've seen people get healing. I've seen people speak in tongues, faint, from the presence of the Holy Spirit. And so these memories are deep rooted, and it's just unshakable. Like, no one can tell me God isn't real. No one can tell me that miracles can't happen. No one can tell me that there is a spiritual realm and we have connection to it and power in it. So I just am very grateful for the start and grateful to the prayers and the examples of others in the New Creation family. And I'm excited to be a part of that legacy. And I'm striving to represent that good manifestation of the talents entrusted by the Master to his servants.
My name is Camille Marbury. Hello, New Creation family. I should have gone first. I have two very lovely sisters, and they have accomplished a lot. But, having had to be the leader, carrying the baton and passing the baton, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in accounting. Launched my career first at IBC Bank here in San Antonio. I have not left. I went on to becoming an internal auditor there, went to CPS Energy, and now work for AT&T, the #1 global telecommunications and content development curator in the world. So with that being said, my life in New Creation has been one of many years. I'm not going to say how many. Some of y'all know how old I am. will just double my nephew's age. How about that? But anyways, I was very blessed to be part of the children's ministry. You know, I contribute a lot to Elder Lucille Walton. You know, I can relate to Candice talking about the Early Learning Academy. I did not go there, but we did benefit from that program being instilled at New Creation many years ago. Definitely benefited from Daughters of Miriam. We were one of the first dancers for New Creation, the tambourine dancers. Benefited from drama, choir, youth ministry, which also helped me to spearhead Daughters of well, not spearhead, but to become a mentor with Daughters of Destiny, which was birthed out of Pastor Claudette Copeland. You know, I really enjoyed that. I think throughout the years, you know, we've kind of all touched on being able to use our talents and treasures. That definitely came into play. Some of you all know that we rap, we dance, we sing. All of that was utilized to reach the youth when I was able to be a blessing in that way. Other things going on in my life, I'm also an author. I am about to go back to school to get my master's degree in business administration, online, of course, during these COVID times. But all that being said, kind of launched a business in proofreading and editing, and I just love the fact that I have my family and friends surrounding me, including my New Creation family. And I would say that the biggest impact that New Creation had on me, you know, aside from the spiritual, the guidance, the leadership, the education, I would say is a spirit of excellence. I can't tell you enough how much just knowing how to do things the right way, or that they should be done at a certain bar. Several times I come into contact with contractors, you know, other people that we hire from time to time or delegate work to. And I just think it's common sense that, you know, people would know what kind of service to give you, to go above and beyond. But no, I find myself trying to educate them, to raise the bar, so to speak. Why don't you just visit my church and and learn, you know, improve your skills, or you could do this to improve your business a little more, you know, if you just went the extra mile. Are you tithing off your business? You know. But anyways, I'll leave it at that.
That is excellent. So one of the things that I heard as a commonality with all of you is that you were able to get into your respective lanes and really push that much further forward. And I'm curious about what role models, if any, you may have seen at New Creation, or experiences that you had that really helped you kind of dedicate yourself to that path of, you know, continuing that trajectory, and then also, you know, what experiences you may have encountered, right, being in a professional environment at that level of authority and influence, being ladies, right, and also being ladies of color, right? Were there any experiences that you have had during your time at New Creation, or something that was related to it that has fed into the way that you navigated these spaces where, you know, for all intents and purposes, you may have been, you know, the token many things, right? The token woman, the token Christian, the token person of color, right? So could you maybe talk a little bit about that?
I want to say to Elder Lavelle, Elder Lavelle, I love her. Love you, Elder Lavelle. I think that discipline of being in the choir, right? Doesn't matter how late you stay up Saturday night, Sunday morning, you there for mass choir, you know, 8 a.m. Bible study, 11 a.m. then night service, if we have that. So I think instilling that discipline at such a young age has helped me in my career. Because, you know, when you're grown up and out on your own, you have to get up on your own. You know, character is all about what you do when no one is looking. So instilling that discipline was really beneficial. I watched powerhouse women like Elder Renitha, Elder Lavelle, Pastor Claudette Copeland, like boss women. You know, I knew at a young age I wanted to be a boss woman like that. You know, stand up on stage, command the stage. You have everyone's attention, you know what I'm saying? So I've always been attracted to that, and I've always said, like, I want to be like that. You know, I wish I could have been an AKA. Pastor Claude is not very AKA, but you know, I didn't get that far, and I've got sisters that I love, so it's okay. I don't need that title. But watching them as a young woman or a young girl, watching how they command the stage and know their stuff and speak with authority and have confidence. They have been some of my role models from Recreation, especially today in the workforce where I am, in the tech area especially, not only being one of the only women, but one of the only African Americans, period, where I come to the table and I have to speak and, you know, put my foot down and kind of speak knowledgeably about these technical issues that we face and troubleshoot and, you know, just kind of make my voice heard and command people's attention. So I love what I was exposed to as a young girl at Creation, watching women command the stage with such elegance and class. Let me say that as well, because I have modeled myself after you know, the amazing women that I have seen growing up, and I really appreciate their presence, although a lot of women aren't, you know, publicly celebrated for, you know, how their continued battle, fight, struggle, stance. They continue to stand for what they believe, continue to stand and not, you know, slack off and drop below the bar. And it's like no one's paying attention, but we are. As a young girl, I was very impressionable. I was paying attention. And I want to say, like, you know, continue to stand for what you believe, have your morals right, the class, the boss, know that, you know, someone's watching you and you can affect their future. So thank you to my role models.
Candice, Camille, any feedback from either of you?
Yes, I want to just +1 to everything that Tina said, and she definitely resurrected some wonderful memories. We need to reminisce on these things a bit more, and yes, I agree with what she said, absolutely. And there's some other women that I wanted to give a quick shout out to, which is Missionary Gatling, right? That's sense of outreach, sense of missionary service, sense of service beyond, like, even just like our domestic walls. I really learned that and saw that in Missionary Gatling. And I also want to give a quick shout out to Sister Jackie Copeland. She was the children's choir director. I gave me the opportunity to direct, and her presence, I can still see her now, like a video. Her presence was very commanding. She taught me poise. It was the default was respect. Right? And you carried yourself in a way that said, respect me, like, pay attention to what I'm doing. I am directing you. And so, you know, I went from mimicking to just really being like, wow, it's amazing. When I raise my hand, people respond to it, right? If I move to the side, like, they follow. And so, you know, why I'm kind of making light of it, it really just showed you, like, why can't you direct? Why can't you command? Why can't you hold attention? Why can't you be a leader? Because as you mentioned in the question, there are many examples where we see the contrary, where I don't see people who look like me, of color, of gender, of age. And so if you don't go into those atmospheres with a bit of confidence in yourself, you will quickly crumble because you're not seeing yourself. And so those foundations of those examples, right, really carried me as a child and just gave me the perspective of why not, as opposed to why should.
Mm-hmm. So I will also tag along and agree with what Christina and Candice said. The one thing I will add, though, is in leadership, what resonates with me the most are people who are servant leaders. You know, they not only serve or lead with authority, lead with compassion, lead with love, lead with, you know, caring and concern, that they also aren't afraid to, you know, oh, there's a piece of trash on the floor, let me pick it up. Let me help this person walk across the street, you know, because it looks like they're having difficulty. It's just instilled in me. It has always been instilled in me. I try to instill it in others. And not everybody thinks that way. So definitely Pastor Claudia Copeland. I want to call out also Elder Denise Campbell, Elder, there are just so many, you know, I cannot name them all, but definitely women of integrity, women of authority, but also servant leaders. I'll go a step further and say, it's definitely made me aware, I guess, being a naturally born oldest child, kind of a natural born leader, but also I have always mentored down. So I definitely embody mentorship. I had the opportunity to do that at New Creation. I do that on my job currently, mentoring a new employee who's come on board and, funnel questions, funnel leadership experiences, funnel knowledge. But I definitely think it's important. You never know what conversation you may strike up with somebody. And I think we should mentor at all levels. You should even mentor up. A lot of older people don't know how to connect with, people of different generations behind them, or like millennials and, have kind of some stigmatisms about them. But when we educate or show why we think the way we think, I'm not going to work a job for 20, 30 years. I was laid off at 22. Do I want to stay somewhere 20, 30 years? I don't think I could. But, the older generation are like, get a job, stay there, stay committed, stay loyal. Doesn't mean I'm not loyal. But those are the types of conversations, candid conversations that we can have to educate and to spread knowledge for future generations. So definitely passionate for me, a topic of passion.
Love that. Love that. Your sisters, I assume they agree in some way or another?
Only that she is the natural firstborn leader. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Absolutely. I really vibed with what Camille was saying about mentoring up. And I think it's about breaking the barriers, right? And so, yes, it's great to mentor down. I would say that's almost more natural. It's more comfortable to mentor down, right? You have a certain seniority, you have age, you have a certain level of experience. So it naturally puts you in a tier to mentor down. But I have found some very fruitful relationships from mentoring up. And that's just really about breaking the walls. So, previously we talked about maybe being the only female, only person of color, or, certain age group, demographic. And so, as you are a minority, I think it becomes increasingly important to mentor up. And that's just, again, it's welcoming the conversation. And so, in terms of, New Creation and seeing that experience, I remember having candid conversations with Elder Walton, right, at the Early Learning Academy. She was very inviting to those conversations, and it was very encouraging of confidence and questioning, and I was a very curious child. And so that's always been encouraged in my experience at New Creation and fostered. I never felt this barrier, this hindrance to not being able to connect. And so, I want to continue to do that same, to promote it again, going down and going up.
Yeah, I love the theme that the two of you had just spoken about, how impactful that transparency can be, especially when you are talking about two communities that, for reasons of age, reasons of gender or race, might have some invisible walls that it feels taboo to cross, but it's a missed opportunity, of course, right? And then that's how you end up with these ceilings and these barricades that stay in place, and no one can tell you why they're there, but you can tell no one's ever tried to breach them before. So when you are in a position, right, like the way that you two have taken the opportunity and really garnered the courage to really try to, poke at those barriers, I think is awesome. Tina, you have any feedback on that?
Agree with what my sisters have said and do what they do as well. As a career coach, I do a lot of workshops at the libraries in my community, just to help my target audience is like college kids, high school graduates, to help them see what career world is really like. They don't teach that in school, and you may not have parents that have degrees and work in the corporate America field world. So giving a heads up and helping students and young professionals prepare for the real, right? Let's be real, corporate America is a game. Learn the rules and you can win. If you don't know the rules, you're just going to get frustrated and you might quit. And you might quit 80% of the way, and the other 20% is where you get over the hump and really seek the reward. So I do a lot of mentoring in that aspect. I belong to some nonprofit organizations like Coders Who Travel, where I go out and help spread technology to underreached areas where they do it theoretically but can't apply it hard skill because they don't have laptops or internet or anything like that. And again, getting them ready for the career world. So career development, a lot of that. Also just being an example myself, right? In my company, when I came in, I was looking for people who looked like me and I didn't see them anywhere. And I could have left like so many others that come into my company now do, you know, because you kind of look for, okay, who can I mentor under, or who do I want to be like? Wow, not a single person. And, you know, when you're in technology and you're like us, you know, you're like a unicorn, right? Everybody wants you, you're rare, you know? And so you have your pick, you tend to have your pick in the tech field and you can go anywhere. So I told myself, I'm not gonna go anywhere, I'm gonna stay here and I wanna get to VP. I'm getting real close, y'all, but I wanna get to VP so that others can see in this tech field, your computer programming, you know, there's an African-American woman sitting at the head of that table with all those boys, you know, like, and she's calling shots and they're listening because I can talk to people and I challenge people all the time, but there's more people who see me and gain from that and are encouraged by that. So I have to make sure I keep myself right. I check my attitude at the door. I pray before I go into the office. I pray for the coworkers who come for me, you know, and just keeping my mind right, my spirit right, and just keep being the example for others. So the opportunity is there for them to talk to me and for me to turn around and help them come up. So that's what I do.
I am so glad you brought up that theme of preparation, right? It's one thing to have the capability, to have the talents, right? But you got to put in the work. And, you know, I don't know if you've had the experience, but where you finally do see another one, you say, what's up? And then you start seeing them like half stepping a bit and you're like, no, can't do that. You're making us look bad. You got to do it. It's not enough to be the token. You got to be the token the right way so that eventually the token life, it'll just be a thing of the past. So impactful for the New Creation congregation. Obviously going to be thrilled to see all of your faces again, thrilled to see how wonderful your lives have turned out to be, and also thrilled to know that such an impact was made on each one of your lives in very significant ways. So thanks again, really appreciate it. Wish you all the best of luck going forward, and don't be strangers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me know when you come back out to this area, Quincy. We can dance again. That was fun.
Yes. Go ahead and start off with you.
Yeah, I'm Clifton Ross, the son of brother Cliff and Sandra Ross.
Mm-hmm. Where are you now?
I'm still residing here in San Antonio. I haven't left yet, still here in town.
Mm-hmm. And when did you start your time at New Creation?
Started in, I want to say 85.
Oh, wow.
I started before New Creation became New Creation when we were at Elder Pearl Conyers' house. So,
wow.
Back in the day. So I've been at New Creation for a little hot minute.
Awesome. Marlena, you want to jump in?
Okay, well, my name is Marlena Beatty. I am the daughter of Shirley Beatty and the late Elder Beatty. So my family and I began a New Creation maybe 1991, back with the gong shows and the Jesus Over You nights with the apples, like that. So we started a long time ago, back with the Great Hall, all of that. I currently live in Houston. I stayed here after graduating from the Texas Southern University. And so I have been teaching, well, I've taught for 4 years. This is my 15th year, but now I've moved out the classroom into administration.
Congratulations on that move.
Thank you.
And how long is it that you've been in Houston, did you say?
I moved here in 2002 after I graduated from high school, so I've been here for a minute now. So.
Well, and you were out there with Deetra as well, right?
Yes, Deetra and I stayed actually in University Courtyard. I was in building 1, she was in building 2. Our first 2 years, we literally took every single class together because, it was a change going to a historically Black university and coming from San Antonio, it was a difference. So, we were together, every class was together. And I do remember the first year that our classes were not together, we both almost had a panic attack. So yeah, I was out there with Deetra.
Up to the New Creation family.
Sure. My name is Sarah Reed. My parents are Tony and Cora Wilkerson, and my husband's Jarrell, and we came to New Creation back. So actually my first introduction is back in probably like 97, a classmate of mine, back when the church was on Nacogdoches, I came to a youth service. So that was my first introduction, but actually joined New Creation in 2012.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have any favorite memories of your time there?
I think just back to being a guest with, just the young adult, or I guess like the teenagers back then. It was fun. I remember being excited about being invited to join her because her younger sister actually was a part of the school. So I remember her wearing her uniform and attending. And just the time that I spent there was always enjoyable. I remember begging, my mom, I was very excited to attend.
Yeah. So you were the school you're talking about, the Feed My Sheep?
Yes. 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 And her parents always spoke very highly. At that time, we lived on Fort Sam. And so she was eligible to go to Fort Sam Elementary, but they sent her there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a really strong and well-regarded program. Not all churches have an opportunity to have a school within it. But it is really interesting, right, that you would have an interest in that school and then end up becoming an educator yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I am currently a principal at an elementary campus. And so when I came to New Creation, I actually had just started my career in administration. And so a lot of what Bishop has shared in terms of just that legacy of committing to education is something that I find ways to share with my students, and just making sure that they understand that education isn't the only way, but it certainly helps.
So one thing I can remember as I grew up in New Creation, just the importance of relationships with people. I can just remember so many different memories of interactions that I've had with some of the youth leaders that were there. And so I think one takeaway from me being in education is understanding the value of making those relationships with children, because I do believe that children cannot learn from people that they do not like. And so they need to feel valued. And that's one thing that I felt like growing up with being a New Creation, that they valued the relationships with the youth. And then also I do remember whenever the school year would begin, Bishop and Pastor C would call all the students to the front and pray over us as we, started the school year. And so, being young, you're kind of just like, okay, it's kind of just routine, like, okay, they're going to pray for us. But being in education and seeing that children come to school with a lot of issues, and so you can bring your college knowledge to the classroom, but one thing that you do have to definitely take in there with you is God, and so understanding that praying over your students, because they do bring in a lot of outside influences and stuff, and just understanding that I may have the college degrees, but I also need to take God with me into the classroom to really make an impact on children.
All right. Yeah. So you mentioned, some of the luggage that the kids bring in with them. Do you find that you feel the heaviness of that as a teacher in a way that you feel that, you need to protect yourself, stay positive emotionally of one, to be an impact on them, but also to keep yourself in the right headspace, I guess you could say.
Yes, you do feel that luggage. There's been so many times that it's like, oh, if I could just take you home with me, I would. If I could just give you this type of environment, I would. So as, certain things may come in my life, I realize that some things that I deal with are not as heavy as some of these children who deal with certain things. And they're not able to kind of fix the problem. They just have to live in it. So just kind of checking myself to realize, Marlena, some things that you're going through are not that bad. You know, you have some of these children who are going through worse than and that's all they have to do is just go through it. So just realizing that and taking a positive attitude, because sometimes that teacher is that person that does make that difference.
Yeah, being that breath of fresh air, right? That light in their space, because you don't know how much they're suffocating, right? How dark their place.
What they're going home to, what they've left from home to come to school, you know. So just keeping that in mind.
Wow. Yes, the school can be an escape for some of these kids.
Yeah.
CJ, I'm going to talk about your experience at New Creation and how it's affected where you've come to in life.
Oh, definitely. Just being around Bishop and Pastor and just being a young Black man and being able to be a role model to these young men is really, I've seen changes. Just being there to help them to father figures or whatever, not having that in their life and being able to sit down and talk to them and let them know about Christ and things like that has really been an influence on my life. Just be able to share with them of what God has done for me. So I really have enjoyed that as far as that. And Brother Elder Campbell and Brother Sonny mentoring me and pushing me to be the best that I could be was one of the main things as well.
Can you talk a little bit more about that portion of your testimony, you know, what you said God has done for you and, you know, the impact that the mentors have had on your life and how that's being passed on to the students now that you're in a position of influence in their lives?
Yeah, I went to mostly an all-white school, going in high school. Very talented athlete. I think I was pushed through the system because of my athletic ability. And I ended up going to a all-Black university, Prairie A&M University, where my mom actually knew a friend that knew the coaching staff over there, and I was able to go and view the campus and end up getting a full scholarship with that university. And it was just amazing how the family oriented and being a part of athletic team over there. And then also being one of those Christian guys that weren't going out to the clubs and partying, but like, hey, let's go to church. Let's do something on Sundays after the games. Let's go and, you know, hang out and do that type of thing. And that kind of just built on that. And that's why I lead in this life right now with my kids that I teach each and every day. I'm always preaching, hey, you got to make sure you're doing it the right way, not the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. So was there something about your experience at New Creation that helped you kind of fortify your walk in that particular lifestyle, right? Because 4 years of trying to, be what you could be, right?
Right. Just talking to Elder Campbell, just making sure, being out, hanging out with the youth groups, Bible studies, doing all those type of things, and knowing that you can have fun, and being with all our team and family over here at New Creation. Just the different type of things we were able to do, the hanging out, and not being that club life, but knowing that you can still do things the right way. Being with him, he would just help me out so much.
Wow! Shout out to Ellie. Very nice to hear that.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, with regard to your college experiences, were there any academic pushes that came from your time at New Creation? Any connections to scholarships or other affiliations that kind of helped, pave the well once you got to your higher education?
I really didn't receive any things from New Creation as far as my scholarship. I wasn't one of the ones that got the essays in on time or anything like that. So, but yeah, blessed is like I said, my athletic ability. I was blessed. I had a mom who just really pushed me and was like, I needed to go and focus, get my mind right, because I needed to be in that type of atmosphere where when so many people. And I think that Prairie was the perfect place for me because my professors helped me out, that one-on-one connection. And that's what I like to do with my kids, man. I just don't like to see people get pushed to the side because you never know who you can help. And that's always been a blessing to me, to just be able to reach out a helping hand to these young Black kids.
How about you, Sarah?
I would definitely say something that New Creation has helped me in my walk as an educator is being cognizant, kind of like what Marlena was saying about, you know, what students come to school with and letting school be that safe place. For the last probably 8 years, I've been at a Title I campus, and so we do have a higher percentage of students that fall within that lower socioeconomic status. And so being just, you know, cognizant of it's more than just my four. We've got to take care of those students, and if there's something that I can give to them, I've brought clothes to school, groceries, you know, just whatever we can do to help our families, because we want to be that for them while we're educating them as well. We want them to know that we're not just here to teach you to read and write, but we're also going to be here to help you with your basic needs if that's what you need.
Wow. Was there anything in your college experience that also kind of linked, right, where you are now with New Creation? Right, something that was really kind of helped mold you right into the
when I came to New Creation, I had actually already finished my degree, but I can say my sister is Sierra Wilkerson. It's funny because some people don't know that. I'm like, I'm the first Wilkerson daughter. But she has certainly benefited from the scholarships that have been provided by New Creation. And so that's encouraging to me as a member to see our church support continuing education and in a monetary way. Not, you know, prayers are good, but like those books and you know, being able to get a meal here and there, gas money to come home is definitely something that I'm proud of as a member of New Creation. And it makes me feel good about sowing into this ministry, because I can say, I know she received checks. I'm like, girl, like, I think I need a back pay mission. No. So, you know, we celebrate that legacy, and it makes me, you know, it's encouraging because I have two children of my own. And so, you know, my hope is that, you know, they will in turn also be able to benefit from that. So certainly just the commitment, I think, to celebrating that continuing education and graduating, the emphasis on graduating. I love that Bishop and Pastor are always, you know, sharing that's the heart. It's like we're going to graduate, and that's the end goal.
Yeah. What's that phrase that he uses really frequently that one of his educators had told me? He said, when you finish, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, hey, after you get there. They were already in existence, what the end state is. I know that's one of the things that Marlena was talking about, our dad, Elder Beatty, that he was very focused on the completion of it, right? It's one thing to go to school, but a very big difference to go through school, right? Those 4 years can be really challenging. So I'm really glad that you brought up the point that, you know, the community of New Creation does extend beyond the walls and into the lives of folks that are on their own separate paths, because they understand the importance of being able to get all the way through that experience and come out successfully on the other end of it.
Yes, definitely.
Marlena, I know that, you know, with you and Deetra being, you know, lockstep, that there were probably some blessings that you guys had in your way, whether care packages or just an encouraging word. You want to talk about that?
Yes. So, fortunately, I was actually a recipient of the Bishop Scholarship when I was graduating. And so that obviously was used towards college. And so just the whole experience and knowing, even when we went to college, you know, sometimes it's like, you know, some people may ask, oh, well, how's your child doing? Or, you know, you may come back home, and sometimes I guess for some people, it may just seem like a routine of, you know, okay, well, you know, I'm praying for you, you know, keep doing it. But like when I would come home on the weekends, like I really felt like I had a family behind me, you know, praying, like not just saying, oh, I'll pray for you, you know, continue through college, keep doing good, but like genuinely wanted to see me successful, wanted to see me graduate, prayed for me. I really honestly felt that when I would come home. So just knowing that I had that, even being in Houston, that I had people praying for me, you know.
Well, I just think about how I do in PE every day, man. We talk about healthy lifestyles and where these kids are, obesity and things like that. And I always tell them my testimony that I was over 350 pounds. and that, you know, if you want to live your life, you got to cut out the sugars and doing all those type of things and getting your body right, working out every day. And then it's just the testimonies that kids can see my picture and be like, man, Coach Ross, that was you. But, you know, just life changing. I told them I have kids now. I've got a wife. I got a family. So it's most importantly that I get myself right so I can live to see my kids grow. And so when you're in these kids, or when you're going to get ready, you want to make sure you're living the right life. You don't want to get these diseases and things that happen. You're in the hospital or somebody's burying, your parents have to bury you. You want to get it right now. That way you can live your life to see your kids grow up.
Yeah, I love that, right? Because you're making personal decisions that are going to affect a community that you're going to be part of, whether it's your own family or whoever it is that you're joining, right? I don't want to be a burden on the process. Nice. Marlena, Sarah?
I, just like Sarah, was actually both schools that I've worked at have been Title I schools, but I'm going to kind of like tweak the question. But as far as one thing I noticed working in that environment, a lot of the students, when you ask them, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? It was a basketball player, a football player. It was like just your, I'm not gonna say typical answers, but in a sense, like, okay, so if we look at getting drafted and stuff, obviously it's a small percentage. So not saying that that can't happen, but what else can you do, right? So one thing I realized is that that group of students weren't exposed to a lot of careers other than just knowing the ones that they see on television. So providing those moments within a lesson where we could talk about different type of jobs that do this thing that we're reading about, you know? So I kind of would just make sure to let them know that there are more careers out there than just the ones that you see. And so just kind of putting that in their minds and being able to show them pictures and actually taking time to kind of research some of those jobs, just to expose them more to certain things that, you know, maybe they would not know.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that you were the one that told me students are not victims of their circumstances, they're victims of their expectations. But if all you expect of yourself is a certain way down the road, right? Don't be surprised when that's as far as you go, right? You know, widen your gaze to find out that there might be other opportunities for you. We'll go ahead and close out with you, Sarah. Zoom just let me know that we are counting down.
Okay. Well, I would definitely say that exposure is so important. You know, I'm a part of helping with our NCCF kids volunteers. And so just having opportunities for students, they're always students, kids, to be able to, you know, explore singing or dancing. And so they just have that opportunity to see like, okay, I try this out. Like maybe I like it, maybe I don't. But the more that they're just exposed to just different activities, that way they can kind of find their niche. And then you find, you know, that middle ground, like you said, it does have to be realistic and within your skill set, but where like your natural attributes can match up with a job that has, you know, a necessity that you can provide. So just finding that fine balance. And I think for us to just always encourage the curiosity, even with my own children, I'm really careful not to just like shut them down. Like, you're not gonna do, well, maybe you could, you know, maybe you could. Let's keep all the options open, because kids are always so willing to just put themselves out there until adults tell them the reality of these are the parameters, or that's gonna, you know, be very challenging. So, you know, I'm like, hey, if you think you can do it, I'll support you 110%. If you're not interested, then let's try to do something else. But absolutely exposing them and letting them know what we do and how we came to it, that there are a lot, it's past the doctor, the basketball player, you know, consider where you get your mail from, consider who picks up your trash. All those things are vital roles. And we've learned that in this COVID season. Our Amazon guy is appreciated.
That was so true. Thank you so much. Deidre, we are getting to the close of the Zoom meeting, but we can start another one. Just want to bring you up to speed. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us where you are and how New Creation helped you get there.
Sure. Hey, guys. So I am Deidre Cockfield. My family joined New Creation when I was just a year old. They're founding members. I am currently the assistant principal of instruction at Idea Judson Academy. This is my 4th year in leadership, and I believe it's my 14th year in education, 14th, maybe 15th year.
We started together, 15th.
Oh, what is it, 14?
15.
Oh,
you're in your 15th year, yep.
You know what? My journey literally started from Elder Lucille Walton. I went to the academy for 3 years, my 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade year. I went to New Creation Christian Academy at the church, and just her love for kids really just put teaching in my blood at a young age. I remember like being in 3rd and 4th grade and her allowing me to get in front of the class and quote unquote teach a lesson to the kids, and it really just put teaching in my blood. And ever since then I have focused my journey in education. I even find myself doing things or saying stuff that I've been taught from Feed My Sheep or the Academy with Braden and Brielle now. So it has been a journey for sure, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I really love education. I love helping children grow. And in this leadership position, I really love helping teachers find their pacing with kids too.
That is.
And trying to rally up 2 under 2.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. Really appreciate the time. I'm so glad that all of you have found spaces where you are flourishing, feel fulfilled, that New Creation has been, impactful in a positive way in getting you to where you are. And hopefully you will continue to just spread that energy to the next generation.
Thank you for the invite.
All right. Thank you so much for everyone.
All right. See y'all later. Bye, Brielle. And Deidre. Bye.
Bye. Hey everybody, I really hope that you enjoyed that walk down memory lane. I hope that you were thrilled to see all these faces that were here at one time and have gone off on their own journeys. I know that myself, it was great to catch up with a lot of these folks and see the impact that New Creation has had on their lives and the impact that they're having on the lives that they're touching now. I ask that if you know any of these folks, go ahead and reach out to them, embrace them. They remember New Creation very well. They would love to hear from you.
I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed service today. As a matter of fact, I'm willing to say that you enjoyed service too. And we thank you for sticking in there with us. Now look, go ahead and stay connected with us. And you can do that through social media, Facebook, YouTube, even Instagram. Please stay connected with us because we're here for you. Now, we've done something really special. It's called the NC Guide. It's on Facebook. You can go there and it's something for everybody every single day of the week. We've put something together for the entire family. Now that is some things that you can have fun with, but we know that sometimes you need some prayers. So we're here for you as well for that. So go ahead and submit your prayer requests at our website, NCCFOnline.org. We want to be able to walk through your troubles and walk through your successes in the prayer life that we establish here at New Creation. So until next time, may God continue to bless you, and we'll see you then. God loves a cheerful giver. And when you give to NCCF, we are able to bless others and our community. So we've made giving easy. You can download the 8700 app on your mobile device on the Apple and Android platforms and simply click on the giving button. You can also visit us at NCCFOnline.org and click on the Giving tab. You can also mail in your seed to 8700 Four Winds Drive, Windcrest, Texas 78239, or come and drop it off before service on Wednesdays and Sundays. Let's all continue to be a blessing to others.